If you remember, my first video is of we got the engine running. So now we know that it starts and runs. Also, my second video, we went ahead and converted the master cylinder from the single reservoir master cylinder to the dual reservoir master cylinder. Now today we are here. We had a little incident, unfortunately, when we were trying to get the car running, taking belts on and off. Unfortunately, we snapped this bolt right here off, and now I need to remove it from the block. What I'm going to need to do is obviously take off the water pump housing, which entails removing the AC compressor, or at least moving it out of the way, getting that, and then either heating it or trying to figure out a way to get that stud out. We're going to get started on that here shortly, and as I do, I will keep you guys included in the progress moving forward, and hopefully we can get this out with not too much trouble. So you would think it would be super easy on a big block AC car to get the water pump out without having to, do all this monkey business. So I thought that I could leave the fan attached to the water pump. Pull the water pump off, pull it forward, it hits the radiator. Okay, won't come out. Take the shroud off, which, as any of you know that work on these cars, these bolts like to break. Fortunately, I was able to work all of them, and I didn't break any of these studs for the fan shroud. However, now I am back into taking the fan off and weaseling that out to get all this done. Hey, if any of you have any ideas or comments as to how to do this a little easier, please put them in the comments below. I would love to read them. I enjoy the feedback. And, again, keep in mind that these videos are not for the professional, mechanic or car restorer. These videos, that I started making are for the weekend do-it-yourselfer. We have the cars we have, can't afford to send them off to get, $100,000 restoration and then drive somebody else's car and claim it's their own. We work with what we have, good, bad, or indifferent, and it is what it is. I appreciate all the feedback. I hope these videos are entertaining and helpful. I do dumb things like break studs off in the block and create all kinds of extra work for myself. I will get this fan off and I will be back with you. Well, now I've got everything off and out of the way. Let me tell you how much fun it is to get that fan out. It's not. You have no room to work. And now at this point, I didn't even need to remove the water pump, because I've got all this room. The other thing, note, don't buy these cheap, crappy gloves. I've already gone through like 15 pair just getting to this point, trying to be careful and not rip my gloves. I think next time I am going to fork out the money and get the better gloves. Now we're going to work on removing this water pump housing and hopefully get to what's left of that broken stud. Once I get that done, we'll be right back here with you. Well, there's the culprit. There is the broken stud. Now, we're going to have a problem here. What we don't want to do is break it off any further. However, we've got to extract it from the block and hopefully not damage the threads in the block. I think I'm going to try a little bit of heat first and just try to work it. I might shock it with some heat, some cold water, some heat, some cold water. We'll see if that's going to do it. If not, we do have some more tricks up our sleeve. I'm going to start on this now, and as I make progress, I'll keep you with me. Well, I call this a success. I want to take you guys with me. So I heated it with my torches just a little bit before red hot. Then I took water from my hose, and I shocked it. Then I sprayed it with penetrating oil and let it soak in. I saw it sucking it in. I like to use a pipe wrench because, you know, you use vice grips and they slip and blah, blah, blah. And then you strip out your stud or break it. These pipe wrenches get on the stud and they just grab it. Now look at this. All I did, and it's hard to see, but I mean, I'm not putting any pressure on this. And this stud is now coming out. Slide the wrench back and just keep repeating that. Look at that. Look at that. Maybe we can grab it with our hands now. I think now we can get it with a vice grip. Look at that. She is loose. This little bugger cost us all this trouble. There it is. Clean, not broke off in the block. I don't have to worry about drilling and tapping and rethreading and all this and that jazz. Now I'm going to go to my bolt bin and find a bolt. I actually have the correct bolt for the belt tensioner that goes in there. So I'm going to get that all put on and I'll be back with you. Now we're going to start reassembling this thing. Put a little bit of black RTV on the water passages here. I just put a little tiny bit on the block. We're going to go ahead and put this back on and we'll be back with you shortly. Here's a little trick that I learned along the way. Whenever you're dealing with a bolt or a water passage, for example, this water hose fitting that goes into the water pump housing, before you put it in, just put a little bit of RTV, just a little tiny bit inside the threads. Put it on and then run your finger around it so it pushes into the threads. So you don't want much, and that will actually, just that little tiny bit, will seal those fittings and bolts from leaking. Well, we are making progress. This, if you remember, was the broken bolt. That's what we had to take all this apart for to get it out. Now I have everything in there. I have the new correct bolt, well, new used correct bolt. Water pump back on, of course the housing back on. I have the power steering pump. You can see the gap there. It's just set in there loose. There's a bracket that the air conditioning compressor, sits into, so that'll come back off again. I think what I'm going to do is, when I had it off, there's a lot of junk in the engine there. I'm going to take the thermostat out. I'm going to run the engine without a thermostat, let things flush through. I'm going to open the petcock on the radiator. I'm just going to keep draining and flushing until, things come out. Pop a new thermostat in there and, we'll see what we get. We were not having an overheating problem, but there's just a lot of stuff in there, which is expected for a car that's been sitting for 22 years, in a barn. So we're making progress. We're going to keep going with this, and we'll be back with you. Well, it took a little while, but we have it all back together. Got my new belts on. Double checked everything. It definitely took a little bit, but we got it all for that broken bolt right there. That little stinker. So what we're going to do now is start the car up, bleed the air out of the cooling system, see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't overheat. Check everything out. I'll bring you along with me for that ride. You got to give me a few minutes to get set up though. We'll be right back. It's kind of hard to hear, but we have the car running right now. This is the first time I've been able to see if we have power steering, and it works great. Can't test the air conditioner. Well, I could override the clutch, but I'm not going to do that right now. We're just testing for water leaks. If everything passes the test, we'll fill up the water. Then we'll start on the brakes. We'll be back with you. You know, I think we're going to end this video here with the removal of that broken stud. You know, they kind of drag on and they get kind of boring. I am not a professional YouTuber. You know, this is officially my second video. So I've got a lot to learn. You know, I'm just trying to help people out. You know, I'm having fun. Tricks I've learned along the way, things that I've done, my experiences on these cars. You know, I just want to get this thing back on the road, enjoy it, have some fun. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. That'll help me out. I really appreciate it. You know, feel free to leave comments below. And this is Todd with Todd's Dodge Garage. We'll see you next time.